Yo, welcome to another episode of the Breaking Into Tech Sales podcast. Super fired up for today's guest, Sydney Yang. She's actually one of my one-on-one clients, and she was trying to get into tech sales for 6 months on her own before working with me, and she was having no luck. She was making like 21K in retail sales, starting to actually give up on the dream of tech sales, but she got connected to me through LinkedIn. Then she joined school, started doing some of the free stuff in there. And then we started talking, found out we were able to help her out. And just 29 days later, she landed a 90K role at a phenomenal company. So really excited for her to walk you through her mindset in this process, because a lot of you out there are where she was. A lot of you have been trying to do this thing on your own. You're not having luck, and you're kind of wondering if this is really where you're supposed to be or not. She'll break down for you what that mindset is like and how to process through it. And also, I want to do something special for you guys in this episode. Sydney was afraid to invest in herself financially to work with me and to join Sword, which I understand, right? Nothing in life is guaranteed, but she was willing to make the jump, which is why she got here just 29 days later and was able to almost 5x her income from 21K to 90K just by being willing to invest in herself and be coached. So if you're on the fence and if you're out there like, man, I really want to do what Sydney did. I've been trying this thing on my own. I'm not having luck. Maybe Jack can help me. What I want to do to make this less scary for you is I actually want to throw in a 90-day guarantee. Now, what that means is if we're able to help you and we're able to work with you one-on-one and help you go get a job, if you don't land a job that you're happy with within 90 days of working directly with me, then we'll give you the investment back. Now, this is assuming you're going to meet the program expectations, and I have very clear expectations for you to hit every day, but no one who's joined Sword and has followed through on what I tell them to do has failed. And look, to be very clear, nothing in life is guaranteed. I can't guarantee that you're going to go land a 90K role. What I can guarantee you, though, is that if you work with me and if you give me your commitment, your blood, your sweat, your tears, and we don't get the result that you're looking for, then I will do my part and make good on that investment you made in yourself by bringing that back to you. So if we're able to help you out, I would love to, because I look at a Sydney and I just think, what if she didn't reach out? How different would her life be right now? And so I just want to give you that same opportunity where if you feel a heart pull that you know tech sales is right for you, you're just not getting in. That's why I'm here, y'all. I'm here to help you. So 2 links in all the descriptions below. One is going to be a link to meet with my team to figure out if we can help you. And when you jump on that call, you can just mention this podcast episode that, hey, Jack said something about a 90-day guarantee thing. Can I get more info on that? And my team will walk you through that to see if you even qualify. Transparently, we can't help everyone, and it's one-on-one. I don't work with everyone. I'm pretty picky. As you can see, Sydney is incredible. So of course I wanted to work with her, but we're going to figure out if we can help you. And if we can't help you, or if you're not quite ready to go all in on this job search, then we've got a completely free guide linked below. That's actually where Sydney and I first connected. That shows you step by step what you need to be doing to start landing interviews and getting offers. So enjoy this episode. Sydney's amazing, as you'll see, and she's also down to talk to you if you need some more certainty about Sword and what we're doing over here. But trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys. Tech sales will change your life, but you've got to be willing to get uncomfortable and go work for it and go grind. Again, nothing is guaranteed. What is guaranteed in tech sales is you will get rejected and you will grind. But if you're in the right system, in the right vehicle, on the right team, you will radically transform your life forever. So enjoy the episode. So to give anyone listening like a little more context, I think you're in like retail sales and you were averaging like around like 21K a year, right?
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
and you were trying to get into tech sales for like 6 months on your own.
Yes.
And was it something you ever thought about like giving up on, or was it just like, I'm just going to keep going and
Oh,
one
yeah,
day it'll happen?
definitely. There were definitely times that I was giving up and almost was thinking of going in a different career path. So
Mhm.
like I'm a very creative person, and that was one thing that, you know, even when I was younger, I was like, I don't know if I ever want to, like, for example, I'll crochet on the side, and a lot of my
Yeah.
friends are like, you should sell this. I'm like, I don't know if I want to turn it into a job because then I feel like I'm gonna lose joy if I
Right.
do that. And so there was a point where I was like giving up on tech sales. I was like, okay, well, I guess I could go into this creative field again, but will I still be happy in this field?
Mhm.
And that was just a whole nother process. But and like also with wholesale retail, there was also times where I was like, oh, should I leave this because I do have something going on? But with my wholesale retail job, I didn't work on any commission, so
Yeah.
like this was just like
Hourly fee.
yeah, like motivation wise, it was a little bit harder to be like, okay, I still want to keep doing this. And especially with the position I was in, there was
Yeah.
no growth. Like it was only just you are a salesperson and then my manager, that
Yeah.
was it. Like there was no room to grow. And really it wasn't until I found you on LinkedIn
Mm.
and watched your videos when I was like, okay, actually I can still do tech sales. I just need to approach it differently, and being able to do like a hybrid schedule, I'll still be able to have like my hobbies on the side without making that into a job. And I still have like my career life, hobbies,
Mhm.
personal life and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, of course, there were many times where I was like, I don't know if this is the right path. Like, when I kept on getting rejected, it was
Mhm.
almost like, "Oh, is this a sign that I should move on to something else?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Thank God you didn't because you almost 5x your income in about a
Yeah,
month.
I yeah, exactly. Like, it really just took a lot of, consistency,
Yes.
perseverance, um, believing in yourself, I think is, like, one of the main things too. And
100%.
again, like I was saying earlier, like, rejection is redirection, and it really has shown here. And I have learned a lot from the failure that I've had from, you know, not being able to land a job for like those 6 months, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
finally being able to, and again, you give us all the tools, and it really is have to do with, okay, we have to also be willing to put in the work. It has to be both people into it.
100%.
So it
Yeah.
really, yeah. But I'm
You
so glad that that worked out.
you bring up a really good point about like self-belief. And I think what people underestimate about going on like a job search journey like this is the self-growth that has to happen. Because if Sydney was already the Sydney that was capable of making 90K, then she'd already be making 90K, right? But you had to go from Sydney at, 21K of self-belief and develop and like evolve into Sydney that's like, no, I'm worth 90K and I'm going to go show you why. And I believe in
Right.
myself. And so
Right.
that process is like taxing. Like it's a commitment, it's an investment of you growing. And it's crazy how fast it can happen, like even in just a month. But I can just tell how confident you are now coming out of
Yeah.
this.
I mean, it was very discouraging at first, as a lot of people go through and a lot of people feel. And I'm sure like people that will be clicking on this would have gone through the same thing where they just feel discouraged. But
Yeah.
really, like, you have to believe that you can do it and that you are capable, and that
Mm.
will get you just as far. And, with your support, Jack, it has helped because even like in the program, you saw me falter a little bit. But then when I was able to reach out to you, I was like, wait, I forget. Like, he's literally on my side. Like, he's
Yeah.
here for a reason. Like, and that investment in myself has like come into like full fruition. And now
Yeah.
I'm able to say that like I am fully employed and making like my dream salary. And then I
Hmm.
can make it plus like and plus that with the
Yeah.
more work that I put in. So I'm just
What kind
very grateful too.
what kind of car are you gonna get? It was very specific. You told me it was like an Audi or something?
No, no, no. I was gonna do, so I'm just looking at like mini SUVs, either like just
Okay.
a classic like black or white car,
Ooh, okay.
either maybe like a Toyota RAV4,
Hey,
or I used to drive a Ford Escape, a 2010 Ford Escape, so
okay,
maybe another Ford Escape. Just something
okay,
that can literally anything that can get me to like place A to place B. Nothing too fancy.
I like it.
Um, but yeah, I just would love to be mobile.
I love it. I remember that
Yep.
was, like, your main goal with this. I was like, "You
Yes.
can do it. You can
Yes.
do it." Um,
Exactly.
Very cool. So there's other people, like you said, that are gonna be watching this that, like, might be a little discouraged, and they also might not know about Sword and, like, what we do. So you said you came across me through LinkedIn, and then you, like,
Mhm.
found the school community, and is that kinda where or what
Yes.
was it just
So
LinkedIn?
I know exactly actually how I found you on LinkedIn. So there was this person that I followed through the company Stage, and she had reposted your like was it Remote Monday, like your
Yeah,
jobs that
Remote Role
you
Monday. Yeah.
Remote Role
Every Monday,
Monday?
I send out a
Yes.
list of remote
So
jobs,
you
yeah.
had reposted that, and so I was like, "Oh, like, this guy is giving us, like, free resources." So I kinda just clicked on your profile,
Mm,
and uh, went through and, like, was just stalking your LinkedIn, and I saw all these videos of people talking about Sword, and I was like,
mm,
"Oh, this is interesting." So I did that free sign up where I kinda had access to all these other videos, and I started watching those.
mhm.
And then that's when I was starting to get very inspired. Um, and I was like, okay, like this is giving, very good advice and very good information and things that I wasn't doing. I was
Mm,
looking at this and being like, oh, I'm not really like actively, I don't know if my resume is exactly what they're looking for, especially when they're getting an influx of resumes and they're just clicking
yeah,
and clicking and clicking. So that was one
yeah,
thing too that I really looked at and felt like I needed to apply to myself. And then
yeah,
just after watching those videos of yours, you had reached out and we were going to go, hop on a call and have a discussion. And
yeah.
from then on, that's when I was just hooked.
I love it. So that's helpful to understand because there's a lot of people in that journey right now. They're like they're in school, they're watching the videos, they're like, "Man, I really wanna do this. Good, there's value here." But for you, something you said in the beginning, which I think is very honest, is like, this was really scary for you because
Hmm.
it's a big time investment, but it's also the finances of it, where it's like, it's an investment, right? And
Yeah,
nothing's guaranteed in life. And everyone struggles with that, like, what if this doesn't work? What if this
right.
isn't real? What if this is one of those online courses where I waste money and, I'm not where I wanna be? If it was guaranteed, everyone would do it, right?
Right.
Walk me through the fear there and what ultimately helped you cross that bridge? Because there's a lot of people who get stuck on that fence. They talk to me, they talk to my team, and they're like, "Yeah, I really wanna do this, but I don't know, I'm uncertain." What would you
Right.
tell that person?
Well, so even before I talked to you, of course, I was very scared of failing, of course, as a lot of people are. And, just to touch base again of what you were saying, like, I was very nervous of, putting in this effort and then failing. But after talking to your team and kind of getting to the root causes, like, why do I feel like, why am I fearful of failure? And
Mm,
why do I have this fear? Because the fear in itself, it's what was holding me back. It wasn't like that I wasn't capable. It was my fear was what was holding me back, and that fear of failure. And how I got over that fear of failure was literally just kind of throwing caution to the wind and being like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to put myself out there.
mhm,
The worst that can happen is just a no. But if you don't put yourself out there, it's an automatic no. And I'd rather
right.
have that opportunity to put in the work and effort and then be told no than not doing anything and
Mm,
just have that automatic no. You know, getting over that fear of failure, of course, like it was always in the back of my head, but it was just like really being self-encouraging for myself and being like, you have this, you
yeah,
are going to be given the resources, and sometimes you have to take those risks. Life
yeah,
is about risk, and you know there will be growth within failure. And
Mhm.
I knew no matter how long it took me to land a job through your program, that if I really believed in myself and set that goal, that I would be able to achieve it. And it was, again, just having that mindset and really, again, just having that confidence. And you can even fake it, fake it until you
Yeah.
make it, right?
Yeah.
Like, just basically, like, gaslight yourself. Wait, if you don't think you can do it, just pretend to be that version that you want to
Yeah.
be, and
Yeah.
eventually you'll become that person. And so I think that's
That's
what
right.
kind of happened with me, where I was a little bit, of course, had that fear in the back of my head, but I was like, you know what? I want to take this risk because I'm so tired of doing stuff on my own and not getting anything. And if this
Mm. Mm.
program is able to give me the resources and tools, which, you gave me more than enough,
Mm.
and like me actually being able to put in the work, it ended up being amazing. And that's what
Yeah.
got me here today, too. And so I would even say, like, at the very beginning, if you don't feel like you have that confidence, again, just fake it till you make it. Just
Yeah.
just look in the mirror and tell yourself, like, you can do this, and I
Yeah.
promise it will go a long way. So,
I had a
yeah.
client once tell me that they really appreciated, my belief in them, and they were able to borrow my belief in them. So they didn't
Yes.
believe in themselves, but they were able to borrow the belief I had in them. That has stuck with me ever since. And it really comes down to, from my perspective, like, if you are willing to work hard and you're willing to be coached, you can get a great job in tech sales.
Right.
So yeah, anyone I talk to that's willing to do those two things, I don't care where you're from, what record you have, what degree you don't have, I don't care. If you're willing to do those two things, I believe in you. So yeah, that borrow belief concept sounds like it was kind of
Yes,
relevant.
that's what yeah, especially because I feel like your support was what made me keep pushing and not want to give up. Um, you would have us send in our interview questions and answers and stuff like that. And I had never really prepped myself for an interview before like that. And I feel like going over those questions and like asking you, hey, is this a good way to say it? Is this a good way to phrase it? And just your feedback too was what really helped. And even just something as simple as you being like, let's go in all caps. I'm like, okay, this feels good. Like I'm in the right
Yeah,
direction. It gave like a nice boost of confidence too. Like, okay, actually I do
yeah,
got this. Because, I could be working and like still have that confidence and then start to falter a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, I
mhm,
don't know. Let me just send it to Jack and see what he thinks. And
yeah,
then, your feedback was what really also helped me strive and push because I was like, I want every single time for me to get that feedback where you're like, yes, this is great. Keep going.
yeah. Yeah, in building this business, I've hired 2 business coaches, and for me, I hate the feeling of, like, putting in all this effort, but not even knowing if it's the right thing, and, like,
Hmm.
knowing if I'm even doing it the right way. I'd rather just have someone tell me, like, "Hey,
Right.
this is what this is supposed to look like, go do it." And, the job search is so lonely sometimes, like, but to have someone to do it with you, I'm sure is just a very different feeling.
It's so much nicer because I am that person that needs like words of affirmation because I don't know if I'm doing it the right way sometimes.
Yeah,
Like it's a it's like for me personally, like if I'm going to the gym and I'm like lifting weights, sometimes I get nervous because I'm like, wait, is this the correct form?
mhm,
And so I always like to have my friend that's really good come with me. So it kind of was that situation where I was like, okay, like I'm doing the work, but is this the right way to approach it? And there
mhm,
like I had first redid my whole resume. I remember I sent it to you and you were like, love this. However, let's change this. Let's do it to
yeah,
this template because you know what works best. And
yeah,
and that was super helpful because again, like I did it based off of the video from the free video that I saw before I joined the program. And I kind of
mhm,
just redid my resume like that. But then after sending it to you and knowing what to tweak, it really helped with the job search because I feel
yeah.
like my resume really stood out to a lot of other people. And again, that's how I was able to be in the position that I am now.
I love it. Okay, I've got three more questions for you.
Okay,
We can
yes.
go as fast as you want. It's up to you. Um, how do you justify like the financial side of the investment? Because again, it's not like you were rolling in money at, in your retail sales job. But a lot of people get hung up on that. And I think it's just because they're uncertain, where it's like if you were
Mhm.
guaranteed to go land a job, I think most people would invest, but it's the
Right.
uncertainty. So like how did you rationalize the finances, or did you just say full send? I don't like, I'm just gonna go for it.
So, of course, I did hesitate a little bit just because, again, I wasn't making too much money, but I did have a good, clear idea of like, okay, I'm not getting any progress being on my own.
Mm,
And again, it's like that coaching that we were just talking about where I kind of needed that, push and like support and coaching and like coming to you if I needed help. And obviously, like, I didn't know to the full extent of what that was going to look like, but I did know that there were gonna be resources and tools, and I really
mhm,
had to look at myself and be like, "Okay, do I wanna be in the same position I was for the past 6 months, or do I wanna make a change and grow
mm,
and take this investment in myself?" And I justified it in the way of like, "Okay, well, if everyone that is coming out of this program is making, like, 90K OTE and more, I can make that money back.
yeah,
Getting this job, I can make that money back and it's going to be a drop in the bucket. It's
yeah,
no longer going to be, oh no, this is a really scary price to pay. I don't know if it's worth it. And I turned it into, okay, it is, I'm going to make it worth it.
mhm,
I'm going to try my hardest and work my best to make the program worth it. And it ended up being worth it. And now when I'm getting paid, that was going to be nothing. And I'm so
yeah,
happy that I just took that risk again and invested in myself because it is an investment in yourself. And
yeah.
it's, an emotional response first because you have to
Oh
justify,
yeah,
okay, is this worth it or not? But again, it just comes from that self too, is like making it worth it.
yep,
And,
yep,
of course, again, it was scary, but
yeah,
it's taking that risk. And again, life is about risk. So I'm just
yeah.
glad that I did that and invested in myself.
Starting this business, yes, I was making a lot of money, but just with like expenses and a new home and everything, um, I was gonna sign up with a coach for like 6K, I think it was, and we had like 7 or 8K in the bank. I go to my wife and I tell her like, "Hey, I think we should do this," and she's like, "You're crazy." Like, no. Um,
Yeah.
but then fast forward 6 months later, I invest 20K in a business coach who I'm still working with, and I've never like regretted it. And I haven't had the best experience always with different coaches and stuff, but like you can never go wrong on trying to go in on yourself. And I'm not
Right.
saying that every boot camp and whatever out there is perfect. But I am saying that like if things don't change till you change, right? At the end of the day. And I'm just proud of you for being able to overcome that fear.
Thank
And
you. Yeah.
kind of going off of that, like outside of you landing this amazing 90K roll in 29 days, beating the program average, by the way, good job. Um, outside of that, what are you most proud of personally accomplishing or growing in as you went through this process?
Honestly, it's like you mentioned before, it's just my confidence. I'm really proud of how I just feel about myself. And, before like got this job, I did tie a lot of like my self-confidence to my employment. And, that's part of the reason why I was feeling so discouraged. I was, not as confident with myself and, had that fear of failure. And ever since this program, because, you have to put yourself out there, you have to call, you have to reach out. Like, you kind of have to do these things in order to land that job and kind of just forcing myself to put myself out there without fear of a rejection has helped me in so many more ways than one. And, you know, also just going off of other programs, I feel like yours really resonated the most too, not just because of what you were offering, but you as a person. your
Mm.
faith really helped me too, and just knowing that like you are a good person, your family and like your story too was what really like resonated with me. And so
Mm.
um now I kind of now I'm rambling and I kind of forgot the question.
No, no, I mean, the question is what are you proud of? And you're saying just, like, the
Oh yeah.
confidence, right? But
Yeah, it was
I also
yeah, it was really
appreciate the
just
compliments.
yeah. No, well, I just wish I like I just wish I could just show like how much gratitude I just have for you in this program, and I feel like
Oh.
sometimes words just aren't enough.
Well, I mean, words say everything because there are other people watching this, when once this goes live that are in your shoes. And so I think the best way you can say thank you is to pay it forward. And that's like why I'm doing this because I'm like, wow, tech sales changed my life. Let's go do it again for other people. And so you are paying it forward. And one day you're going to get an SDR hopeful outbounding
Yeah.
you. Sydney, I applied to your company. You're going to be an AE and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was in your shoes. Yes, I want to
Yes.
help you. So you are absolutely going to be able to pay this forward.
Yes, I am so excited, and that is also another thing that, I'm looking forward to do on the other side when, people want to reach out to me. I will for
Mhm.
sure help them, especially if I see that they're part of your program,
Yeah.
because I know that the time and effort that they are going to be putting into it, and it's just that hunger and strive to be motivated and work hard. And so I'm super
So good.
excited to also pay it forward.
So good. Okay, let's close with this. What would your advice be to Sydney out there who's been applying on her own for 6 months, no luck? Like, what's something maybe you learned in Sword that if she knew and she did would actually go help her land a job?
I feel like my advice to past Sydney would be you need to do a little bit more than just sending in your resume and then closing your computer. You need to put a little bit more effort into not just your resume, but into reaching out to the hiring managers, reaching out to people that work there, um, and not be afraid to do that because, again, that's what they want. That's what they want to see. And then also being a little bit more prepared when it came to talking on the phone with the recruiter because, I would go on the phone with the recruiter and I'd be cramming in all this information like 10 minutes before, and then they would ask me questions about what they sell and what their company is. And, I would get stuck and
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
start being like, "Oh, would you be able to tell me what you sell?" And that's
Right.
also a red flag because they're like,
You
"How are you
applied
gonna work?"
here.
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't
"How are
apply to
you gonna
you.
work?" Yeah, "How are you gonna work for us if you don't even know what we're selling?"
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
I would just say, like, study like this is like a test and, just
Mhm.
really get informed and learn,
Yeah.
learn a lot about the company and their just like what they do even outside as just being a company. Like, do they have anything that they do on the side for like community outreach or
Mhm.
group events for organizations? Like, really get to know the company because you're not only just being interviewed, you're also interviewing that company to see if you want to work there as well. It's not
Yeah.
just, okay, I just want to get a job to get a job, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, just
So good.
yeah, learn
Yeah.
and put yourself out there, I would say, is like my main advice. And just
It's
having
helpful.
that, yeah,
We
and just
talk about,
having
like,
that
do the
fake
job to get
confidence.
the job,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
do the job to get the job, you gotta do it. Now, a lot of people don't even know where to start with that. So if you're listening out there and you're like, "Okay, cool, Sydney, like, yes, I wanna do that." That's kinda where my resources come into play of, like, the school community. It's totally free, and that's where Sydney got started, y'all, where, she was going through the guide, updating her resume, starting to learn how to do outbound. And then that link will actually be, like, in all the descriptions and stuff like that. But there's another link in there to actually meet with my team. And I think
Mhm.
the biggest difference between like, should I go do this on my own or should I work one on one with Jack is how much time do you have to spare? Right. And like, I mean, Sydney, I'm sure eventually you would have figured this out. Let's call it another 6 months. Maybe you would have gotten a job. But it's like, if you just do simple math, like 21K for 6 months versus 90K in like 2 months. It's like the maths very quickly. And
Right.
so for those of you listening out there, you're curious, like meet with our team. We'll see if we can help you. Sometimes we can't help people, and we're very transparent with that. But yeah, you might be in a position where it doesn't make sense to rush the job search, or you're like Sydney and you're just fed up and you're just ready to get into tech. So that's what we're here to
Yeah.
help with.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Sydney?
I would just want to say, I guess, like, just to cap it off too, is like, you know, I obviously there wasn't like a set like number of days where I was like, "Okay, I have to get it in this time," but it just worked out perfectly that it took only 29 days. And so again, just want to say thank you. If anyone out there is like hesitant into getting in this, again, I would just say just really try to invest in yourself and believe in yourself. And Jack is here for a reason. He wants to help people, and it's very clear that he does. And I even got to meet people through the SWORD program where we got to connect through LinkedIn. Even though I've never met these people in person, I know them through the program at SWORD. And so even then, like I've just been able to widen my variety of people to connect with. You know,
Mm,
I see some of them commenting on my like new job posting, and like I'm doing the same with them and commenting on their job postings and stuff. So it's just been a great community overall as well. Like
mm,
not like, finding the job aside too, it's like just being in a good community. Everyone's super supportive, and it's just very positive. And so I guess
mm.
that's all I will have to say. But yes.
Wow. Well, thank you. Makes me a little emotional because, I feel like this is like my baby I'm building. And just to see you come through where you were 29 days ago and where you are now, I'm so proud of you, Sydney. Like for
Thank
real, from the
you.
bottom of my heart.
Thank you
Congratulations.
so much. You will be getting a picture of my new car
Yes.
soon.
Let's go. That'll be the thumbnail of the video, like Sydney with her new whip.
Yes.
Um, that's hilarious. Awesome. Well, thank you for real. Yeah, you're awesome.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciated all this time and effort that you put into me. And that was also, sorry, there's also one more thing I have to say.
Yeah, we'll
That
take
was
it.
also something that I was nervous about because I was like, oh, how is he going to manage like all these people that he has? But you did such a good job where I never felt like you didn't have like any attention. Like I always got the amount of attention that I needed from you.
Mm,
And so that was one thing too. Like if anyone's nervous about, all these other people that you're coaching, you do a really good job of spending time with everyone and giving them that individual help as well. So thank
good.
you again.
Good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to send you a picture of my new car.